Well, I have interviewed Gen Musharraf many times when he was in power, and afterwards also when he retired. So I found him a very pleasant person. Like even my first meeting, which I narrated in my articles in DawnNews, that basically he came across very moderate, full of humor, and lively person, and that was his characteristic. And It was very different from the earlier military rulers, particularly Ziaullah. Ziaullah was a very different person. What I found with Musharraf, one can talk about or argue about his politics in later years, but in fact, actually, in the initial year, he sounded very, genuine and very sincere. But certainly, actually, there are a problem when you are in power, and particularly actually when you have come through not in constitutional means, but have taken over power by through sheer power. So that conflict and contradiction came across actually in later years very clearly. He left a very mixed legacy. I mean, like he was a person who came to power and as written actually that there was hardly any resistance to him, and in fact actually he did not need even to impose martial law. For first few years he was not even the president. He declared himself chief executive. But I think probably his problem was that, like any other military rulers, that a few years in power and they start looking for legitimacy, because that is basically for a military dictator. The major problem is that to take over power is much easier, particularly in Pakistan-like situation where politicians are divided, where institutions have not been very powerful, civilian institutions. So to take over power was not difficult at all. But to sustain the power, there was always a problem, and that's one of the things we have seen in the past too, that a few years after taking over, they all look towards to get legitimacy. So Musharraf, in fact, actually was very keen to distance himself from previous military rulers, but in fact, actually, he followed to the script, whatever they have been doing, and that is first he tried to find some kind of legitimacy through, and he also held a referendum, as General Ziaullah did, and I think probably he's also tried to become or take, turn into a democrat, and hybrid system he tried to establish with the King's Party, and I think probably that was also the beginning of his end, because actually, like he could not have control that process despite all those power. One thing, but otherwise, actually, there's also some other legacy. When Musharraf, before he took over, he was also known for this misadventure in Kargil, which actually almost led to the war with India. And he was supposed to be an architect of Kargil, but in later years he became the champion of peace with India. And I think probably his legacy will remember him for his peace process with India. It started 2004 and continued for 2007. And in fact, actually, the two countries had come very close to reach some kind of agreement on improving relations, particularly on the future of Kashmir, not as permanent solution, but certainly opening the way for long-term solution on Kashmir. In fact, actually, when it was about to be signed, that deal between the two countries, then Musharraf's crisis started in 2007 and 2008. So it's a mixed legacy. That's what I'm saying. On one side, he was known as an architect of Kargil. On the other side, he also initiated this peace process with India. And I think Musharraf's, despite being authoritarian, one should give him credit for two or three things. The way he handled the post 9/11 situation, I think lots of things are being said about that thing, that he just surrendered on a phone call. That is completely wrong. And I think probably anyone actually in that seat at that point would have taken the same decision. But Musharraf did it and very, ably, and I think he took out Pakistan or navigate through a very serious crisis. Then actually how he dealt with India after 2002 standoff and military struggle. We were very close to the war at that point. So, but basically soon after, as I mentioned earlier, a peace process was started. So that was the legacy. I think economy and did very well actually in the initial period, largely because of the foreign aid, and also Pakistan had become yet again a close allied United States. That all helped actually to stabilize the economic situation. But he also missed the bus, and he missed the opportunity of bringing some fundamental structural reforms in the economy. And that's what we said, that after a brief period of some kind of economic recovery, we saw Pakistan collapsing again to our economy collapsed yet again. So I think probably that all, if you sum it up, it was a very paradoxical situation, very paradoxical legacy he left. On one side, we have seen a different Musharraf who wanted to take Pakistan down a liberal path or progressive path. On the other side, actually, he acted like any other dictator and authoritarian ruler. He crushed. He basically, just tried to destroy the judiciary. He was actually also established a kind of hybrid system, so-called democratic hybrid system. He also actually took, he tried to, marginalize his opponents. So all that actually was, what other dictators had done. But on the other side, there has also been positive side of him too.